Hey there, this is Andy Greider. I'm the host and producer of Unique This Week. We bring you somebody each episode who is doing something different, something blue ocean, coming at something from a whole new angle. And today's guest, we are exploring an area that most people would never consider there to be a new angle on. And yet, what Accounted For has done is brought to light a whole new mindset of how to do accounting for SMBs and small business owners, and it provides them a lot of value that they're not getting, or at least not at an intersection like these guys do. Keith Campagna is with me today. He is one of the he's the business development manager for the company, and very, very honored to be speaking with you today, Keith.
Pleasure is absolutely all mine, Andy. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's absolutely a pleasure. When you first talked to me about what you're doing with Accounted For, I was like, wow, this is what small businesses need, a lot of them anyway, because accounting's such a huge mystery, or hostage taking zone. Like you feel like you can't even really try to do your accounting yourself and that kind of thing, because it's just a big mystery. So, a lot of times your accountant becomes somebody you just, oh, I couldn't get rid of them, even if I don't understand what they do. So
Right.
talk to me about what primed Sean, or what primed you guys to do what you did in building Accounted For the way you did.
Yeah, thanks. It speaks to a macro challenge that the accounting industry just falls short of solving for small business owners. And to do that, we got to take a look at the status quo. For most everyone, they receive their financial data reports that basically have all the information that took place in the past. Right? It's generally, if you're in small business, you're using QuickBooks Online or some form of QuickBooks, but all business owners get their financial transactions after it already happened, right? Which makes sense. So there's the idea of the financial reporting is always based in the past. And then you have the idea that for the accountants out there, most of them are going to be focusing on two things and two things only: profit and taxes. And that's because one has to do with the other. So everybody, business owners' QuickBooks are designed based off of outdated information on two elements of business that completely miss the mark in terms of what matters most to business owners. And you know this as well as I do. What business owners need to know is their cash flow. And so what we did was Sean, a buddy of mine who built the software, figured out a way to bolt onto QuickBooks, pull out all the information, refilter it, we restructure it so that when we put it back in, it looks like a personal bank statement, a business statement. So your expenses and your revenues are all broken out by all of the different inputs that you get through QuickBooks, because QuickBooks doesn't do that on its own. And so fundamentally, if you were a business owner, small business owner, and you started working with us, you'd go from being out of in the past and not knowing, having inaccurate information, to having accurate real-time cash flow information, so you know how much money you have. And because we have all of that information, if you wait enough time, you're in a position to do projections and forecasting. So our clients within 30 days go from not knowing what happened in the past to having a very good idea about how much money they're going to make and be able to save in the future.
That's phenomenal. And again, it really does sort of hit that intersection you said, where two pieces that were disjointed and not working together, you're able to rearrange, recompartmentalize, I guess to put it in one term, all the data, and bring it out in a way. I guess the other thing that I was impressed with is that business owners actually can understand.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head. Very few people create a business because of their love for accounting. And because of the unknown elements of accounting, most business owners shy away from it. So what do? We offer virtual fractional business coaching. So we're not accountants. We don't pretend to be CFOs, but what we do is help them recognize the business trends, and then we connect them. We have plenty of financial experience, but we help them get over those small hurdles that really aren't small hurdles. Or they're not big hurdles. They just seem like they are because people don't know anything about accounting.
Right. So let's go ahead and delve into what sets you apart from using. I mean, we've kind of covered it to a degree, but if somebody's used to using let me rephrase that. If somebody's used to using a bookkeeper or a CPA to run all of their stuff through their business, what are the things they're going to experience with you that are going to feel so different?
Well, so first and foremost, you still have to use a CPA because we don't do taxes, right? But what we could do is we could plan for taxes. This is something that most people completely miss the mark on. Let's take your tax liabilities, because we know what they're going to be, and let's show them on your balance sheet as almost like a Comcast bill. So now you're learning budgeting. You're seeing the cost of business, and we could do the same thing for owner's comp. We could do the same thing for growth strategies. And these are the elements where they're just not discussed. They're not discussed in bookkeepers, and they're definitely not discussed throughout the entire accounting industry.
So, as you said, you don't do taxes, you're not CFOs, you're not, in that role. What would you guys qualify yourselves as when you are talking to a business? What is the role that you're going to play for them? Or is it a brand new role, Keith?
Well, it's a little bit of the whole like you look at the way businesses are forced to be run. If you're a business owner, financially speaking, you're running your company by using a rear view mirror. So we have the technology and we have the voice to be that GPS. Not only can we show you where to go, but we'll guide you along the way. And a good example would be we coach our clients in terms of like playing the game of business. And in a game, there's offense and there's defense, right? So offensively, how can we see your trends? How can we help you improve revenues? Well, that might be offensive, and so that might be a partnership that's out there, right? So we look into those kind of things. Defensively, we know everybody's concerned about healthcare costs, payroll costs, and recruitment, right? How do we retain and recruit? So we look at that and we say, well, have you ever looked at anything like a professional employment organization? This is an option for small businesses where they can latch on all of their, sorry about that, latch on to their employer benefit costs and pool it across hundreds of thousands of other employees, lowering their costs across the board. So that's one, those are two ideas, right?
Right. I mean, and I know in talking to you, there are dozens more to explore for someone that wants to take a look at this sort of new modality. Because again, nothing is ever brand new and nothing is ever totally unique.
Right.
But what you guys have done here comes about as close to it in a very staid and static field that's normally, as you mentioned earlier, sort of by the book and sort of very much just this way. This is how you're forced to run your business.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I loved was reading a lot of the testimonials on the website or hearing a lot of the testimonials on the website. And it wasn't just what they were saying and the videos, it was how they were saying it. There was and I want to see if you can echo this for our listeners here. There was a sense of actual relief and a sense of contentment even around their accounting. So is that something, I mean, I assume it's fairly typical if it's part of the testimonials, but what's the biggest thing your clients tell you is the best part of working with you?
It's funny. I feel like I'm a bad DJ because it's a broken record because it's something that always comes up. But when you think about what it's like in general to run a business, you're constantly stressed. You're constantly moving around, pleasing as many people as you can in one day. And in the way that the general accounting principles are laid out, you just generally don't know how much money you have. So we talk about bank account math, where somebody gets up in the morning, they go to their bank account, and they see numbers, and they go, oh, I have money. But they don't really know how much money they have, and they don't know how much money they're going to have. And if there's any small business owner out there that had to sweat whether or not they were able to make payroll, they know what we're talking about. So the thing that we've been able to do, and it's turned into a little bit of our cliche, is that if you want mental clarity, the absolute best way to get that is financial clarity. And because we're able to provide that to our clients, they legitimately start to feel better about themselves personally and about themselves professionally. They see growth opportunities and they start to acknowledge it in some of the testimonials you've seen.
Yeah, yeah, I was going to say that's one of the big parts that comes out, and they also feel like they've actually learned a lot about their business is the other part I hear. And as somebody that's owned numerous small businesses, I wasn't always great at running them. And as you said, mental clarity and vision clarity comes with financial clarity. And ironically enough, financial clarity was what was missing. So if you're thinking about the types of people that you guys like to help, are there any verticals? Are there any sections of our listeners that we should be pushing this out to harder than others? Who should someone share this with if they listen to this and say, yeah, I know I need to share this with X? Who would that be?
I appreciate that question very much. So, fundamentally speaking, we latch on to QuickBooks Online. We bring anybody that's using a different software to QuickBooks Online as part of the implementation. But because 98.5% of the small businesses in the country use QuickBooks Online, it makes perfectly good sense for us to start there. So QuickBooks Online is the gate. Then of all of the industries out there, there are really three that we don't touch, and it's because of their accounting software: restaurants, manufacturing, and retail. But if you're in professional services, if you're in healthcare services, we've fallen into the niche market of professionals, healthcare service providers, dentists, podiatrists, chiropractors, physical therapists. The theme here is that they're all moving a million miles a second. They're all very busy, and none of them spent 2 days in accounting school. So they have the need to see in clear terms and, like you said, become much more familiar with what they have going on the financial side.
Very, very cool. So let's take a little bit of a turn here. When you and Sean are looking at this together and you're having a weekly meeting, what is it that keeps you guys going? What are the big things, and then what is coming up next for you? Because I know you guys always are envisioning new pieces of where this heads.
Well, yeah, the fun part is answering this question because right now we're a services based company that built technology to support us. And so right now we're servicing 40 clients. And if you were to ask any other fractional CFO or any kind of exit strategist or consultant that's working with small businesses, they're going to cap out around 6 or 8 clients, maybe 10. So we have, because of our technology, we have figured out a way to scale the model. So what we talk about all the time is developing the technology so we could take it to market, which we're going to do by the end of this mid-year. And now we're solving a serious problem in the entire accounting industry. We're building right now Accounted For Academy, which is your how-to training to be able to explain and work with somebody the manner we do. And we're going to be providing the software so that you as a CPA firm or you as a exit strategy consulting fractional CFO firm, you can set up each one of your clients, automate all the bookkeeping, then use new data that you didn't have before to provide more value than you had before. And you could 2x, maybe even 3x the number of clients you have without spending much more time working.
That's
That's
brilliant.
the stuff that's got us going.
Well, I was going to say that would keep me moving too. That would keep me moving too. That's beautiful, man. Um, Now, the next question would be, and it's a pretty elementary, basic, simple one. If somebody does want to talk to you, want to get in touch with you, want to have a discussion about what they've got going on, I noticed on the website you guys have some nice incentives to, kind of get started. Let's talk about those, and then let's talk about how they get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for anyone using QuickBooks Online, we offer a free QuickBooks assessment. All you need to do is provide us accountant access. It happens all the time. We can't change anything or do any harm. What we'll do is we'll take a look at your numbers. We'll tell you the story your numbers are telling us. We'll probably find where there's cash being left on the table. And when we regroup for the assessment, we'll demonstrate to you ways that you could change things and improve your cash flow. And then to answer your question on the website, you could just fill out 3 fields: name, email, I think company name, and then I'll get your information. It's at accounted for, the number 4, LLC.com, or you could find me on LinkedIn, Keith Campagna.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, so Keith, we'll make sure that information gets up on the screen here. As we close out here, what would be the biggest or the most heartwarming success story for you? What's the client you've worked with that really just came home for you? And you said, wow, this is a huge turnabout, or this is just such a huge success.
Well, I've got a couple that come to mind. One of them is a company that had multiple locations. And when I had my first, we just talked about that like setup initial conversation, right? Never met the man before in my life. We had 30 minutes on the calendar. He starts the conversation and explains to me that his CPA told him he made $270,000 worth of profit last quarter, and he could not find it inside of his books. He had no idea where it was. Within 35 days, he's up and running, has full understanding of where all of his revenue sources and all of his expenses are, broken out by location, and now has a clear sense of what his future looks like by location based off of the way we set him up. And now we're coaching him into more growth. So to me, clearing the cobwebs and giving these hardworking business owners something they feel good about, maybe better than ever about, it's the best job I've had so far.
That is fantastic, man. And you're awesome at it. You're one of the easiest people to refer out there. Folks, if you get a chance, check out Keith on LinkedIn. Also, make sure that you take the time to pass this video along. These shows are meant to be shared. If you've got a small business that you care about, Accounted For can probably make a pretty huge difference for them. Again, it's a novel concept with a lot of firepower. So it's not just an idea. It's something that's implemented and running and doing well, obviously enough that we're moving towards having an academy, having almost a franchisee licensing model type of idea to go to CPAs and other folks, actually fix an industry, which is exactly what we look for here at Unique this week. Awesome guest. Thank you again, Keith.
My
Really
pleasure,
appreciate
Andy.
it.
Always my pleasure to see you, bud. Thank you.
Likewise, man. So my name's Andy Grider. This was another episode of Unique This Week. We're at uniquenessispower.com online. We have a YouTube channel. You can catch any of the episodes there. Feel free to share them. If you want an introduction, you can either go straight to the source or you can ask me, and I'm happy to introduce you to any of the guests, always. And again, thank you for taking the time to listen. Please pass this along to people you think would care, and we'll see you next week.